Hi everyone, thanks for checking out my channel. As I was announcing in another video, I'm going to focus now on long-term trading strategies, which is still based on the same. That's looking at very key levels in terms of the weekly, monthly charts and focusing on divergence, but only on daily charts and kind of disregard any actions on the 1 hour and 4 hours charts, except potentially to time entries a bit better. So I'm going to start with I think the markets that are going to be the more rewarding in the coming weeks and months, and of course that's the precious metals I was touching base on a couple of weeks ago and pointing to the key breakout that we were just about to get, and I believe we are now getting very close to a significant pullback. Of course the uptrend is unquestionable in my opinion. We're going to see much higher price than what we're seeing at the moment on Bitcoin, gold, silver, platinum. All these assets that are actually in US dollars, they are going to see major upside in the coming months, but I think very short term for the coming weeks they're going to be under pressure, and I'm going to explain why, and also what kind of levels we can expect in terms of starting rebuilding long positions. The first argument that I have that we're going to see some reversal is that the main reason for the move up we had was speculation around the US dollar. I don't believe we have actual inflation happening. The QE, as we know, is a switch of assets incentive, attempting to basically just keep the interest rate as low as possible, but the money doesn't actually get into the real economy. This is why since 2011, the first QE of a significant scale, we didn't see any inflation, or we've seen inflation in for some assets, but not in the general economy. So the monies, they're still relatively strong, losing value, but not crazily like you should see to drive this the precious metals very much higher. Which is also the reason why it didn't actually perform over the past 8 to 9 years. So yeah, back on the USD, the US dollar. The first one I believe is that we are an extremely key resistance. If you look at the Euro USD, we can see here that we are in that major trend line that's been running since 2008. That's the monthly chart, and we are now spot inside that area of resistance. If we zoom in a bit better and go for the daily chart with a perfect reversal figure in place, as we can see, with a near perfect divergence on the daily chart that's been broken on Friday. So I was waiting for this. I'm going to trade this short for the coming weeks, as I believe we are going down to revisit the lower end of the triangle. When this is going to happen, I believe early September, maybe mid-September. So it's going to be a slow grinding down. There will be no major move down, I believe. Could accelerate a little bit at the end, but yeah, I think we're going to see that in the coming weeks. So that'll be a relatively safe trade, as we can set stop loss a little bit higher, but I don't believe we're going to break these levels. It's just too strong. And yes, so that's the first reason, because with the US dollar getting strength, that will put pressure to the precious metals. Also on the US dollar, we are at extreme short positions. That's also why I believe it's going to correct. I think the short positioning on the US dollar at the moment right now is the same as what we had back in 2011, when it was actually was thinking that the US dollar would actually crash massively, and we went up to 1.5 versus the euros at that point, and then we got the major reversal because the shorts had to cover their position, and I believe we're going to see the same thing. Of course not the same scale, because the area of support is running much higher. I mean, the potential for the drop is 10%. Don't believe we're going to break much lower, but yeah, there's a reason for this. Also, something very important is the quote divergence. So we can see on the gold, silver, platinum that we actually having all these moves that are happening, but the management is actually not following. So the prices are moving up, but they are still maintaining long, net long most of this, but they are not increasing their net long position. Also, we can see that we're having an extreme bullish sentiment around with the traders. I think it's running at 70-80%. That's way too high for the move to actually keep going up, as it means basically that we're having everybody positioning in with longs, so there's no more ammunition basically to actually push that price much higher. Now more technically, on all of these markets we can see, and including Bitcoin, we're having technical divergences in overbought conditions. On Bitcoin, this is quite obvious on the 4 hours. I think back to the daily, we are seeing very much safe, no key divergence on the daily charts, a very healthy uptrend. So we are going to work that 12,000 resistance, but it's not going to break now. It's just a bit too early. And we can see here that we're having a major divergence that's actually starting at 11k, and breaking this, and to clear it up we need to break lower, potentially back to 10,000. I think will be the key level. That was the previous resistance that got broken with that move. So yes, I think we're going to revisit that level. That will be probably a very nice entry point for Bitcoin. I think put the price here. That'll be the target, I believe. Of course, we need buy signals to show. A bit similar. I don't think we had one that level. I think we had divergences on the lower time frame, so we'll see. Depending on how we get to that point, 10k, we might start building that position and potentially keeping an eye and stop loss a bit lower should that actually not work, and if we don't get proper buy signal, because the uptrend is so bullish with that massive cup and handle figure that we're having here, that we're expecting the breakdown to actually bring Bitcoin to new all-time high, and that should happen within the next 2 to 3 months. So very interesting trade indeed, and definitely not something that you want to miss in these coming weeks. Also back here, so I'm talking about the technical divergences in overbought conditions. So same applies to gold on the 4 hours charts. We still don't have major divergence either on the day trade. We're still running healthy uptrend, so I don't believe this is a complete reversal. We're having that very big engulfing red candles on Friday that is actually showing clearly end of trend, in my opinion. Temporary, of course, as we can see here. The correction will bring it to, I think, slightly below 1900. We might still do another push up next week potentially and set a daily divergence, maybe somewhere there, trying to attempt to break a little bit higher before actually getting lower. So I will not be shorting gold because I think the potential for that move down is just not that interesting. I might be shorting the gold miners because they're usually reacting very negatively to any price down, move down for gold, and 5%. So we have the market correcting a little bit as well. Could be actually interesting for the miners. So keeping an eye on this, but definitely for gold, not looking at direct short positions. It's extremely bullish, so there's no a little potential for that move, but 1900 will be a nice entry point as well for gold. Now switching to silver, also very big move up, of course, and we're having divergence on the daily chart, so that's significant. That last candle on Friday is wrong. The closer was actually at 28.4, so that's making it close to a dodgy candle. So I might be interested in shorting silver because the potential down is much bigger. We could go down to clear the divergence down to 21.6 somewhere here within the coming 2 weeks. That will be a healthy correction as well. Position could be open here for the long on silver. I believe 21.6. It might actually stop higher, potentially 23. Could be another level to watch, so just keep that one in mind. just in case we get some buy signal here. I mean that building long position from here would be actually interesting, but 21.6 would be the perfect entry point. So I'll be waiting before opening any long position to get a proper signal. Let's get this and getting some red candle here on Monday, and then I will confirm some reversal pattern, some sort of a shooting star on silver that will actually confirm also that divergence is not going to break higher. Then we're going to revisit lower levels. And finally, looking at platinum, we also having the same configuration on the daily, major divergence, that's actually sitting very longer since that peak we had at 940. So I believe we're going to correct. So the question is either to that trend line here, or potentially that trend line a bit lower, that is actually showing a very nice area of resistance that is bringing us to that key pivot line we had here at around 850. Also not shorting platinum, but looking at long entry on 850 should we actually get the right signal, which I believe we should get at that point, then don't think there's any reason to break much lower. No, just keeping an eye on something is the potential for the US dollar to actually make a strong recovery. It cannot be excluded, and that would mean basically we would break. I would keep an eye on euro US dollar, because this is the pair that's actually making more sense in terms of the flow of the currencies between countries and what it means actually in terms of the differential between these economies. And should we actually start breaking that major area, drop lower than 1.5 potentially in extension, then I would start to be worried that this could actually mean something bigger than just a simple short-term correction on the precious metals. So I'll keep an eye on this, and of course look at the levels we have on the precious metals. I hope you found that interesting. If you have any comments, you think there's something that's not working there, we're going to keep pushing higher price without correcting first on these assets. It is of course always possible, but I strongly not recommend to actually open long position from here. If this is for swing trades, there will be much better entry points. If it's for long term, of course it will be a winning trade if you can actually leave with some drawdown, and but it can be significant. As I mentioned it on silver, we are talking about significant potential correction. Might not happen that way, but there's a good 20% down on silver, which is not unusual for that very volatile market, but still you don't want to carry that kind of position with such a drawdown. So it's probably best, if you can, to secure some profit and look at better entry points a little bit lower. So yeah, that's all for tonight. I hope you found it interesting. Any comments again, please share, and I see you around. Cheers, bye.